Alrighty, greetings everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On That Note podcast. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Calvin. Welcome back to On That Note. How you feeling? How was your week?
My week was good. I can't complain.
Yeah.
It's just still like end of the semester.
Yes.
But there's just been so many dope things about this past week.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of which we'll discuss. Gosh, I guess by the time y'all get it, it'll be like 2 weeks ago. But
still
a lot of
things.
How about you?
Good. I'm glad it's getting warmer.
Thanks.
And there are more, like, just generally, and like you said, we'll talk about it, but like there's lots of like just new things, whether it's like TV and movie or new music. It's an exciting time. April is actually one of my more favorite months.
I think that's actually grammatically correct though.
Yeah, possibly.
Because you couldn't say favorite or favoritist.
Right.
Bird.
Yeah. But it's just so April is just something just opens up. I think it's the springtime, like really coming into its own. Like people want to put out new music and like the summer movie list kind of starts and all that other stuff. So yeah, it's been good. But
yeah, you know what else is opening up?
What?
Pollen sports.
Yes.
Over here, so y'all gonna hear me doing a lot of sniffling and stuff in this episode.
I used to have such bad, like when I was younger, I could not go outside to play without taking Benadryl. And I, for whatever reason, allergies don't really affect me as much anymore. Like my eyes are water and stuff, but thankfully, like it's been a while since I've had to like take any type of medication.
I've been on allergy medication literally my whole life. When I was younger, I had to take medicated eye drops and everything. It's horrible.
Yes.
And it's like no relief inside until May.
Yeah.
Usually, like for some reason, when May rolls around, like the pollen is just like, all right, like we've been here for a minute. We're not gonna work shop no more. Don't start no more. Be done. But. Y'all know how the show goes.
Yeah.
So we gonna dive right in. While you were sleeping first. So I guess I'll go ahead and kick it off.
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
So my while you were sleeping this week, I'm kind of like I think I'm gonna keep on like a little train of like throwing it back a couple of years.
Okay.
So this song came out in late 2005, early 2006.
Okay.
So maybe more than a few years. But it was by this group that really, they really only had like this one song that most of us, well, not that most of us, but this one song, like they never put out an album or anything like that.
Okay.
But the group is named Mrs.
Okay.
It's like Missez. Just so for y'all to look it up. But it's Mrs. featuring Pimp C, and the song is called Love Song. The beat is just a nice little slow lounge groove. It's, if you need you a little late night playlist, you could slip that song on it. But I remember first hearing that song when my sister and we both went on this school marketing trip up to New York, like in the spring of my senior year, and she bought this mixtape that was hosted by LaToya Luckett.
Oh, wow.
And so it had a lot of like snippets, or not even snippets, it had a lot of songs from her upcoming album. This was like maybe January, February 2006, so way before the album came out.
And this was the album with like Regret on it?
No, this is her first solo album with Torn on it.
Oh, right, yeah.
So like that was the first time I ever heard She Don't. I think Torn might have been on there. And a couple of other songs, because the album was originally supposed to come out that spring. Okay. So she was on there, but then more importantly, this song, Love Song, was on there. It's a nice vibe. So get into it. Go discover Mrs. If anybody has a lead on where Mrs. is now, let a brother know, because I definitely did a little internet search and turned up nothing. So shout out to them.
So
what you got?
So my While You Were Sleeping is, I guess I'm sticking with my track of like maybe people you knew and forgot about.
Okay.
So Dawn Richard from Danity Kane.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So she's still relatively in the orbit. Like, she was in that episode of Insecure last season.
Oh. But when I tell you, I did not recognize her.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so she actually has a new album out, like dropped this year, called New Breed. Okay. So hopefully most of our listeners know of the group Danity Kane.
Danity Kane was a move
in a moment.
Listen, period. Miss those girls.
So, and I would say, I mean, well, who would you like between her and D Woods?
Okay.
Who do you think had the better sound? Maybe. Let's do vocally. Because I really like, honestly, one of my more favorite girls in the group was Andrea.
I mean, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, she gave a vocal tease. It's tough because I think that both Dawn and D Woods like brought something to the group. Like, right. D Woods was really good for giving you some like amazing ad libs and could really like. I feel like she used to shine a lot when she would like be on like a bridge or something like that. I mean, expressly or explicitly rather thinking of the song "Press Pause." I don't know why that's the song that's popping in my head.
I was thinking of what is this called? Do you hear me? I know you gotta believe anything.
Oh,
you and me went together.
I got your back now when the chips are down.
Ride for you. Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's her on that bridge too, right? No.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Wherever you want to me, I'll go.
Don't you? But it's a part that I'm thinking of that I'm losing. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but press pause too.
Yeah, like, cause I'm thinking about the part where it's like, I'm in love with you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which Dawn is singing that, but then D Woods comes in with
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. I like both of them.
Yeah.
I honestly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
It was understood. Doesn't have to be explained.
And no, it's funny because like if I were to have created a, DK3 the way that they did,
say that lineup would look a
lot different. Swap two of those girls out for two other ones.
So then we had three people that could all sing.
Right, exactly. Because
like
if Andrea, Dawn, and D Woods would have just
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, she's doing something a little different with her sound. It's different even than what she did with Dirty Money when it was her and I don't even
remember.
Kalina. Okay.
Or Kalina. One of them. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
But yeah, so this new album is a little bit different. I think she's maybe going for a different sound. But check it out. She's still making music, doing her thing. So yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
So let's move.
Okay.
Let's pivot a little bit to our gossip folks for this week because we're gonna be doing something special this week. Our gossip folks section. Other news. I'm sure there are other things maybe going on in the world. But what's most important and what we're going to devote this gossip folk section to is this homecoming documentary from Beyonce, the greatness that we were able to witness. So yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of a breakdown, just top to bottom, just giving a blow by blow of this great performance. So, where do we want to start?
At the top.
Yeah, why not? So,
maybe I'll pitch it to you.
Sure. Set the scene.
So, Calvin.
Right.
You were actually there.
I was.
Last year.
I was there.
When Beyonce decided to spring this whole...
I absolutely was there. So I remember in the first part of the last episode, we were talking about this announcement. And I was talking about how I was there, and I was talking about how it felt like such a personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
Here is why. So I knew I was going to... It worked out perfectly because Coachella is a lot of money to just kind of drop, you know? Especially if you don't know who's going to be there ahead of time, which is how it is most of the time.
Yeah.
You drop the tickets in July, or at least the pre-sale tickets in July, and they don't release the headline or the roster, you know, until like January.
Yeah.
So you just, you know, if you're doing the payment plan, you're just paying it just off the strength of it being the Coachella Festival. But the way it worked out for me, because she wasn't there in 2017, like, we knew she was going to be there.
Yeah.
So it was just like, of course I'm getting this ticket because, of course I'm going to,
Beyonce.
right. And we know it's Beyonce. So I was there, you know, I was with like some really good, like a lot of my LA friends. So that was super dope. But so I did not go to an HBCU, so I do not have that experience. However, I did join a historically black fraternity when I was in college. And also for 5 years, so like all of my high school and 8th grade, I was in marching band. And I was like in a high stepping marching band. Most of the influence that we got was from like Norfolk State, Hampton, that area, you know, being in Virginia. And then also, like, I was on the drum line, and then my senior year, I was drum major, like, just very much immersed in both of those things. And then I'm just black. So, like, while everything was happening, you know, within the first 15 minutes, you get the Black National Anthem.
Right.
You know? And I remember specifically just looking around and just being, like, shook. Because I was just like, first of all, most people just don't understand what is going on.
Right.
And so I had to have that moment. And I remember being, like, angry. It was moments like, and we can talk about some of those moments later. But there were certain moments where I was just, like, I kept looking to my friend and I was just like, they just don't get it. Like, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. And part of that was the HBCU experience with, like, fraternities band, all that stuff. Another part of it was just, like, Beyonce deep cuts. Like, there were many levels for me where I was just like, no one around me is understanding what is happening right now. And so, it was just, I just had to go for what I knew, you know, and make it work for me. But that made it such a personal experience. And then just having that exposure to those, like, I remember being 15, 16 years old in marching band, you know, or even around the time that, like, Single Ladies had come out, or, like, I was also in the band when B-Day came out. So it was just, like, I remember being like, what if we did a whole field show and it was just Beyonce? You know, like, imagine, like, dedicating an entire marching band show to, like, Beyonce tracks, you know? And it was like, you know, it was like fan fiction come to life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was just a very, very awesome experience for me firsthand. And then going back and watching, because, like, I've had that video, or at least, like, the recording of, like, weekend one, you know, in my Google Drive somewhere since last year. So I would just, like, go back and revisit. But being able to have it in a, you know, official capacity,
right.
Something that she chose to give. With the, like, moments, interspersed of her talking about creating the performance and all that other stuff, that just made it so much better. But yeah, I'll stop there for now and let you talk about your personal experience with the documentary.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, so one of the amazing things that happened this past week was them premiering Homecoming at Howard.
Yeah.
And so I didn't attend an HBCU for undergrad, of course, as we both know, or for my master's, but I'm at Howard now as a doctoral student. But I even tell people that, like, in terms of, like, HBCUs, like, I cut my teeth in academia at Virginia State. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was, like, my neighborhood HBCU. Yeah. And they were so integrated into our community that, you know, my high school, when I was younger, when my older cousins graduated from the same high school I went to, like, our graduations were held on campus at Virginia State. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, homecoming, like, you know, the whole community is coming out on the Ave for the parade, and just like having the students in our schools, the gospel choir, practicing with them when I was in choir in elementary school. So it's just like, and then of course when I get to high school, taking summer classes at Virginia State, stuff like that. So it's like HBCUs have always been in my orbit. Yeah. So I always knew it was only a matter of time before I got to one. Exactly. And so it was so dope to be taking in a project about HBCUs or centering the HBCU experience and being able to sink my teeth into it in a way that maybe 2-3 years ago, even with the other varied experiences I had, you know, being able to experience it differently now as a student at an HBCU. Right. And just the energy in the room was crazy. Like, I mean, we were dedicated. We got out there early that Monday morning to get them tickets. Like, we stood in line for like mad long just to get let into the venue. Yeah. On the night of the documentary, and then as we all know, the documentary is 2 hours and 17 minutes. Yes. Like, and we had to give our phones over like when we went in. Oh, so yes. Serious. And so, and mind you, this is stuff that like we didn't even have to do when we went to go see Us. Right. So it was like, oh shit, like this is serious. Yeah. Like, but all of it was worth it. Because like I said, just everything from bonding with other people in the line, either when I was trying to get a ticket on that Monday morning, or, you know, on the day of the event trying to get in, like, just talking to other Howard students and just being like, oh, like, are you excited, and just seeing, like, sharing that moment with so many folks. And then again, once we got inside the theater, just like the music going, like people going off, people dancing, people singing, like throughout the documentary. You know how it is when you watch movies and stuff, but like yo people, we gonna react. So the moment when she first pops up there in that Howard hoodie, baby, that theater went off. It was just like So there was also a reaction when Hampton University, because you know she has the montage when Hampton popped up there, but we don't have to talk about that reaction. Sure. Okay. But I mean, it was a really dope moment. And as someone that's not only studying at HBCU, but you know, my program and my research agenda is dealing with HBCUs. Right. It was just exciting to see a celebrity and entertainer of her caliber really be intentional about continuing to center HBCUs, not only in her philanthropic efforts, but now in her art as well. Because, you know, donating money is like a headline that might run for a few days, but this documentary is going to live forever. That live album is going to live forever. Right. And people are going to always be able to come back to it and see what she did in that moment. And I would endeavor to say that it's probably the biggest show of support from a major Black celebrity for HBCUs since Lou Rawls really doing like the Evening of the Stars and things like that. And so I don't know, it really just it hit like that love hit different when it comes from Beyonce.
No, seriously. And I think that she was very intentional with that. I think that she knew the importance of this show. And honestly, you know, it was in a lot of ways an act of like resistance, right?
For sure.
Like she says in the documentary, you know, like I knew I was going to Coachella, but I wasn't going in my flower crown. You know, like that's not what this was. I wanted to do something different that people will remember, and people would be able to either appreciate or learn from, you know?
And she was very specific in her words and saying, instead of pulling out the flower crown, I felt that it was more important to bring our culture to Coachella. So that, to me, like, as you stated, that is definitely an act of resistance. And I love it because a lot of people are, when I say a lot, not as many as the people that are loving the moment that we're in with Beyonce. But there are some people that, you know, seem to think that this is just her hopping on a wave or her, you know, trying to do something that's of the moment. But then I remind people that, no, let's take a few steps back, because even 3 years ago at the Super Bowl,
right,
you know what I'm saying, Black Panther, 50 years, she did that Black Panther theme.
Right.
Formation performance.
Yeah, and she had a drumline there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what I think you really see, and there was something else that I had forgotten about, even something else she had done, but and what I've been seeing from Beyonce, she's really been utilizing these big platforms that she has access to, these big award shows, these different cultural moments that have historically whitewashed or have intentionally excluded us or wanted us to be a part, but didn't want us to bring all of our essence and all of our identity to them. And she said, no, I'm going to make this about my people and about my culture. And I really appreciate that, because I think for celebrities and entertainers of Beyonce's caliber, there's this desire to remove race from the conversation.
Right.
Like, you know, society wants to make them racist so that everybody can claim them. But I appreciate when those artists are like, oh no, Black.
Yeah.
Always been Black.
Yeah.
Always will be Black.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that I'm Black.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's something that she has definitely been doing and exhibiting through her art.
Right.
And also through her words and actions. Increasingly, because it's not like Beyonce is on the decline. Like, she continues to get more and more like bigger and bigger. So you know, the bigger and bigger she gets, the more that we get to continue to see her showing that Blackness.
Exactly.
Black
and I think it's in a lot of ways it's a show of the power that she realizes that she has now. You know, like, she couldn't always do that. She couldn't always be super Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, in her music and her artistry and her persona, you know, like, she couldn't have come on the scene being that way.
Right.
Because she wouldn't have reached the level that she's at now. But now that she's at the level that she's at and no one can deny her. Right. She can do what needs to be done. You know?
And she is.
Right. So yeah. Do we want to kind of talk about the show, or, you know, like, some favorite moments? And because in addition to dropping this documentary, right? So it's like we watched this documentary, and then she released the album, which was it was a surprise to me. Yeah. You know, like, I had no idea she was going to do that.
I felt like some music was coming, but I didn't know if she was going to give us that.
Exactly.
Like, and it was and is a different type of excitement all into itself. Yeah. Like, it's like, damn, like, the documentary is dope, but then Sis gave us this album, so now I can ride around with the official, like, audio from this. Oh my gosh.
And the clarity, like, I remember listening to it and I was just like, oh, I can hear everything, every hit of the snare, like, every instrument. It was just, oh my God, like, it's just amazing that a year later, you know, and we were talking about this before we started recording, but, like, the impact that this show has been able to maintain for over a year at this point. Right. Just, like...
And her ability to be visionary even in that, right? Because I know, so those of you that follow us on social media, recently we posted to our Facebook page just an article from a blog, popular blog that we enjoy. And it was just it was doing a comparison when people first found out about, you know, how much Beyonce was paid for Coachella and Ariana Grande. And just, like, even in reading the story, it's like, okay, well, like, damn, this is crazy because Beyonce is Beyonce, Ariana Grande is Ariana We love both here, but you know, we ride for the queens. So, but even in reading that story, it was like, damn, like this is reflective of what happens in society. But then there was also a part that was like, but Beyonce ain't stupid.
Yeah.
Like Beyonce know what she doing. Yeah. So when it also came out that no, she negotiated that $4 million so that she could own the rights to her show.
Yeah.
It was just like,
yeah, we
stand a genius level queen. Like, and that's how we're able to get the documentary. That's how we're able to get the music. And that is something that, I mean, again, like things that are going to live on forever. And being able to have that level of vision to know that, okay, I'm going to put this whole package together. Like, and I'm going to really, like, give the people what they want, give the people what they need.
Yeah.
I just think that that's just... That speaks to me of her being... Her... I think for a while, people have been afraid to, like, associate... Like, people will call Beyonce, like, you know, one of the greatest, or say, like, she's gonna be legendary. But I really think that at this point, no, she is legendary.
Right.
Like, sis been in the game for almost 25 years.
Yes.
Like, has not fallen off, has never not, and I know that was double negatives for the smartasses out there. She has, like, always put on, she's always given us, like, something to, like, get excited about.
Right.
And to just see someone at this stage in their career continuously 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months?
Yeah. I was going to say, let's talk kind of like broad strokes, right? Yeah. Just kind of about the show and then also about the documentary aspect. So, you know, if you look at the show, and Beyonce says this at a certain point in the documentary, she was saying, you know, like, this is essentially a showcase of 22 years of a career. And it really felt like that. I remember last summer explaining to you, we were riding in the car, and I was saying it felt like, and I know it won't be, but it could have been like a farewell performance. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt like something that was very much like a culmination of so much and really her entire career. Because even if she didn't perform like certain songs from her, it was like all of the Easter eggs that she had in the show, or like whether they're musical Easter eggs, so it's just like a snippet of a song that people would play, or like when the drumline was playing, they would be playing a song, or, you know, like the Bugaboos and like their names or whatever. Just like there was this expansive, like, kind of like exposure to the entirety of her career. That's kind of crazy when you think about, like, being able to do all of that, like you said, like 8 months, you know, and then into a 2-hour performance. It's just amazing. It is. It's insane.
It really is. And I mean, so the point that you just brought up, even, like, and I remember that conversation vividly about, you know, this could have been a farewell performance.
Yeah.
But just thinking about, okay, well, maybe it is in a sense, because we were also talking earlier about how she says in the documentary, you know, like, this is, like, I push myself in ways that I don't plan to push myself, like, moving forward, which is not going to be a lack in quality from Beyonce. Right. It's just going to mean, like, she's going to move, she's giving herself now the freedom to move differently.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like this is culminating for closing, like, a chapter of, like, her career. Like, I gave you this broad, like, span of my career, and, like, it's almost like a rebirth or a relaunching or re-emergence of sorts.
Yes,
so, like, with that next project, it's gonna really be like
a shift.
Whoa!
It really,
like, and I'm just like, hold on to my seat right now, because I don't think we're gonna be ready.
Yeah, and she also says, and maybe that's so. Because I think we wanted to do favorite moments, like, from the show. But I also have, if you want to do, like, maybe one or two, like, favorite moments, like, as far as the documentary aspect.
Oh, for sure.
Because I think that for me, it would be that section where she's talking about all of that.
Yeah.
So she says, that, you know, when she signed up for Coachella and was signed up the first time, you know, she got pregnant, and she said it was a surprise pregnancy, so they weren't even trying to get pregnant, you know, which, yikes. But, and then it's twins.
She said even more of a surprise.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
Maybe.
And so, like, and of course, with Black women and the disproportionate amount of work that just goes into being pregnant and like health risks as a Black woman.
For sure.
Like, because Serena had some of the same problems that Beyonce had, you know, and them talking about it was able to get it kind of more into the focus and the conversation. But she was saying that, you know, like it was not a like she went through it during her pregnancy, you know? And then she said when she was done, so I just can't imagine, like, because the babies were born like June, right? June of last year. Or June of 2017, right? Exactly, the year right before Coachella. But like, in June, she said when the babies were born, she was at 218. She weighed 218 pounds. I'm sure, there was a point in time where she wasn't even thinking about Coachella. She was just trying to be a mom. So like, but between that time and April of the following year, getting to where she was, like, and you see her working out, you see her, you know, like talking about her food restrictions and how it was like no dairy, no bread, no sugar, no meat, like. I was trying to like. The way she was crunching that apple.
What was she eating? Nuts and berries?
Upset.
I'm hungry.
He's like, I'm hungry. But a moment that I loved, in that section specifically, was when she's at one of the first practices back, and she's like she's with the choreographer and she's doing moves, and she's like trying to get it and like working and all that other stuff, and the choreographer was saying to her, you know, like just kind of encouraging her, you know, like when you coming in here, you're burning a lot of calories, like, and all this other stuff, and she was like, yeah. And I'm not able to do it now, but soon I'll be able to do this, and I'll do Soul Cycle, and I'll go to rehearsal all in one day. And that was just so, you know, we often see Beyonce, like, in the Coachella moments, you know what I'm saying? Like, in her, like, big moments where she is the greatness that she is, and we see her for all of her glory, you know what I'm saying? But it's like it was very, surprising in a really great way to see her show that side of her. For sure. Even showing, like, because there was video footage, you know, so seeing her, like, what she looked like post-pregnancy, I think that took a lot of, like, relinquishing of, like, ego, you know what I'm saying, and pride, you know, like, to be able to show herself in that way to all of her fans that are used to seeing her for perfection, you know? But she's been very intentional, I mean, even since Self-Titled, with breaking down these ideas of perfectionism and, like, and it even translated in the way, I'm sorry, you good. But it even translated in the way that, like, she gives direction. So I noticed, I think a moment that I think about is, I'm not sure if it was the documentary for the I Am Yours tour, but there's documentary footage of when she had, like, the all-white stage, and it was, like, the red lights on the all-white stage, and I remember, like, she was upset with something, like, the lighting wasn't working.
You talking when she said you can't put blue lights on a black girl?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, that was I Am Yours.
You're right, exactly. So I think back to that, which, I mean, she had every right to kind of, like, give instruction in the way that she was giving then, but now what you see is, even in the kind of assertive leadership style that she has, a lot of her language now is, this is my vision, this is why I see this for my vision, like, we're almost there, but we're not there yet, like, let's get there together. And I think that's a showing of very, like, strong leadership skills. For sure. Be like, this is not what I want, you know? So, like, how are we gonna get to where I want it, you know? And here's why I want it that way, you know? Like, I think that is a show of really true leadership when you're able to understand or show people what your vision is and help them understand.
Being able to articulate the vision
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I 100% agree, and that really blends very nice into a lot of my thoughts. So, I'm trying to figure out like where I should go on here. Well, I'll start with and one of our friends of the show, Haas Truly, she had wrote in because I was asking people like, what are your favorite moments like from the film or the album, and she said, you know, I love whenever Beyonce's like super transparent like this. Yeah. And I was just like, I agree. And it's funny because I had wrote down like her vulnerability and honesty and the struggle she faced in being a wife and mom.
Yeah.
And like that rehearsal montage that you were talking about. It's definitely access to Beyonce that she's increasingly given. But this documentary for some reason felt like the most raw, honest thing that I've seen her put out, and that's not like talking about musically, but just in terms of like I'm gonna let you in, and like I feel like she really kind of like let us in a way that maybe before she wasn't quite able to capture, or she, you know, wasn't thinking about translating the message in the way that she was with this project, but it really just shone through that she was like not trying to sugarcoat shit. Like, just, this is what it is. This is, like, what we're trying to get to. Yeah. But, like, this is what it is. This is where I am. And so I really appreciated that. I thought that she also exhibited tons of humility.
Oh, my God.
In the way that she allowed the people around her to lead.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? She's in there practicing. And, like, you see the moments where she's like, okay, like, like, what you doing?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to get it, but like you see that like she's really like taking direction. Something that I also appreciated, and this actually we talked about this a little bit in one of my classes this past week, but one of my colleagues was saying, you know, you could tell that she made herself a student of HBCUs. And another way in which I think you see that bear out in the documentary is how she, you know, purposely said she chose all the dancers. She, you know, chose I'm pretty sure chose the orchestra and the band and all of that. And I feel like she truly highlighted the expertise of HBCUs by going there to find these people and kind of letting them do what they do best.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You don't see her, a lot of the direction she's given is to like the crew and like, you know, capture us, right? Because they got it.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying? The dance girls, like they know how to hit their marks. The band members know how to play them notes. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if anything, she just wanted to make sure that what she felt, what they all felt, that it was able to be translated.
Yeah.
And I just thought that that again showed that she valued and appreciated the training that they received at their respective institutions, in ways that, you know, we're not always valued for like the expertise and the backgrounds that we bring or the black spaces that reared us. It's a lot of times, you know, our knowledge has to be, or our skill level has to be assessed according to, okay, well, that's great that you went to this black school. That's great that you had this black training, but you know what I mean? Where's the big name at? Or where's the, you know, the shiny institution or something like that? And I really appreciate it because there is so much innate value in our institutions at the HBCU level, at the grade school level, churches, you know, other types of black establishments and rearing spaces that I don't think as a society we always lift up and really value that knowledge that comes from living in a black community or going to a black school. And so I really appreciated that. And I really, really, really love this one particular quote where, because I wrote down that it was a display of unapologetic blackness in all of its beautiful forms. Because when she said, I wanted a black orchestra, I wanted everyone who's ever felt marginalized because of how they look to be represented on that stage. And it's something that you see, like there are, you know, people of all shades, shapes, and just beautiful people like up there, like just going in, and it was just so beautiful to like see that and to see her really like bring that to us in a very intentional way. And there's some other thoughts I have, but I'll hold those.
Yeah. So in what you were saying about her humility, you know, I think about the part where, and you were talking about it, where she was doing the montage of learning choreography and kind of struggling with it. And she said, you know, this is why folks don't like to rehearse, because it humbles you, you know? And I think that something that I said, because I was watching this yesterday at a party, of course. But something that I said to one of my friends was like, she doesn't have to be this humble. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not just say, like, I don't, of course, maybe I wouldn't like her as much if she wasn't, you know, but she wouldn't be who she is if she didn't have that aspect to her. But it just makes it that much better. You know, it's so amazing to have in this time a woman like Beyonce who knows who she is, who knows where she comes from, who is a stellar talent, who knows the power of her name and her pull, but uses that in a way that is effective, you know, and even comes from a place of humility. It's just the best word to describe it. She's like, I want to do this for us. I realize that this show, like, as much as it's my performance, is about us. It's about the community. It's about highlighting certain things. And it's just like, that to me is what makes me love Beyonce that much more.
Hands down.
You know, because it's just like an understanding of her own humanity that I don't think most people have, let alone celebrities.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and celebrities like her, you know, it's very easy to just be self-absorbed. Right. You know?
And to, like, believe your own hype.
Yeah. Yeah. And she like, it's like at each tier, she's like, you know, yeah, I can always get better. I can always get better. And that's just really encouraging to see. I think another maybe aspect of, because I think you're absolutely right, that when she talks about, like, not going through this again, we're definitely stepping into something different. And I don't know if that means, like, more ballads, which I wouldn't be upset at, honestly, if Beyonce just released the album of just, like, singing down. You know, like, I would be down for that. Yeah. But even more so than that, something else that I thought was, like, I don't think Beyonce's having no more kids. Like, I think she is making sure that she's not having any more kids, you know? And I think that that was part of why she said that too. Like, I'm not putting my body through this. Like, if I'm going to keep performing, like, I can't be having these, like, oopsie daisy pregnancies. Like, we're not doing this, you know?
I always figured we would do for one more. I was like, you know, they love the number 4. So we might get a 4th, but I feel you know. I think that's very valid too.
But and she might not want to risk it, because what if it's twins? Then it's 5. You know.
Yeah, you're right. Right. But it's even on that point. Yeah. It's funny to think about, like, all the things that Beyonce was still doing while pregnant. Right. Like that Grammy performance. Right. Like. Yeah.
She didn't really, as much as she, like, took a break, it's like, she didn't stop, really. Yeah. Because right after Coachella, she went on tour. Like, so
Yep. Yep.
It's just amazing.
It is.
It's amazing. And it makes me, I think also something else that she did with this documentary was encourage. Yeah. I think that in what she was doing, and what a lot of what she said was like, it was like a call to action, essentially. Like, I can do it, so can you, or you know,
but not in like a condescending, like pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Yeah, you dumb. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, like people in this country like to do a lot of. Like, it felt like a, no sis, like I got on. Like, you got it, like, I definitely agree with you.
And, like, no matter what area or aspect of, like, just the idea of, like, being your best self, you know, without and that's less about perfection and more about just like self-improvement, constantly wanting to learn, constantly wanting to grow, constantly wanting to use what you do for the betterment of others and for yourself.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
If I had to like think about some other like just really highlights of the documentary, and I mean the project as a whole, but specifically the documentary, I just loved how she looked and felt loose. Like, she really just seemed like she was having a lot of fun. And I remember somebody that, you know, could be pretty much a villain at times, Azalea Banks. But I remember her saying that, like, last year, after Beyonce performed and we all, you know, had our collective gasp. She was just like, you know, Beyonce looks really happy up there. Like, she looks like she is, and that's like how I love to see Beyonce. And watching the documentary, like, I got it. Because initially it was like, okay, Beyonce is killing it. This is some shit I ain't never seen before. Like, Mama's going off. But it was like, no, but like, she really, for all the amazing Beyonce performances I've seen before, since, like, she really just looked like I am having a good ass time. And some of the moments that I think exhibit at most was how she... It was just like little things. Like, so when she was introducing Bow Down, and she was like, bow down. Like, you know what I mean? Just like dumb stuff, or like her laugh at the end of 7-Eleven. Like, that, like, it was just like, I love seeing Beyonce be goofy.
And she when she did the woke up to niggas looking like
we here. We see each other.
Cause
I definitely wrote that down, and like, I was like, did that come from somewhere? And then I looked up and saw the song that it came from. And I was like, man, Beyonce be on
and
some
I feel like
shit.
she was just hearing, like, maybe samples they chose not to choose, or like different like how she hears her own performance in her head is probably so different than like anybody else in the world. It has to because it's just like, she's just, you know.
It has to be.
Oh my God.
Like, no, but
so we can talk about a few like actual show moments that we really like. So I have a few.
Okay.
You have a few, I think. But I can start with. Well, actually, you start.
Are you sure?
Because I think one of mine I wrote down. If we're gonna do a top 3, I wrote down 4 just in case one of ours is the same, and I think that one of ours is the same. So just go ahead and do that one, and then I'll just pick my other 3.
Okay, so my top 3, and I did only write 3 down, even though I loved a lot of it. But the shared one, I'll just say for the people, the shared one is that musical transition from Sorry to Me, Myself, and I.
Yes.
It was just musically beautiful, and just even like taking it in visually was just like, oh, this is a whole vibe. Like, thank you, Beyonce, because this was the remix of your songs that I did not realize that I needed. So that's definitely on my list. Do you want to say something about that?
No, I was when I started tearing up when it happened. Like, I was just like, oh my, like, because that part is. It's like kind of right after the intro when you're initially like shook and you're like kind of coming down of like, okay, this is happening. Like, what I'm seeing is actually reality. Like, you know, and you're actually over the initial shock of like, what? And then you know, like once Sorry starts, you're kind of like in the, okay, like now I'm get to watch the show. But like, that was the first maybe like post shock, like, surprise, like, and like arrangement and all that other stuff, because you had like the Crazy in Love into Freedom, which was amazing, you know. But like that, the crazy, like the beginning into the Crazy in Love into, you know, Freedom or the Black National Anthem, or, you know, just kind of that mix. Yeah, exactly.
That was a hell of a step.
Right, that was right, exactly. But I think Sorry comes right after that, and so it's just like, that's the first moment where you're just like, oh my God. So and if I'm not mistaken, like,
Beyonce doesn't typically do Me, Myself, and I live.
No.
Like, so I think that was another piece of it too, right? Because I want to say she probably, the first time I ever saw Beyonce was on the Beyonce Experience tour. So that was after B-Day.
Yeah.
And I think she probably was still performing like Me, Myself, and I, stuff like that, because she
Right.
really had 2 solo albums to work on.
Yeah.
But so it was cool to like see her throw it back like that. And I think that was definitely a part of
the mix of that and like the live instrumentation, like it just I was really, really feeling it. But yeah, so one of mine was so when she does I Care. I am slowly but surely that is becoming one of my favorite Beyonce tracks of all time.
I see it.
And like everything that, so first up, the lead up, so it's like when she's singing the opera or whatever is amazing. Because it's just like she's been dancing full out for 30 minutes already.
Right.
And then she just like belts out this opera performance. But then, right. So it's like, it just takes me back to like marching band and like the different aspects of like, so like we would have like field shows, right? Which is essentially like the show that you do on the field, right? So it's just like, with that, a lot of times you would have like an overture to start it, and then you would have like a drill song, which is like a faster paced song, where you like do a drill and do like kind of like where you see like the band moving and like making all the shapes and stuff. But then a lot of times there will be like either like a dance girl showcase or like a slow song aspect and all that other stuff to a show, and like I said, it took me back to those times where I was just like creating, like, what would a show look like in my mind? Like, if I was to make like a Beyonce field show, like, what would the slow song be? What would the drill song be? Like, what would the dance girl song be? And all that other stuff. And to see, and also I just love an 8 count. Like, I just that style of dance, like,
Facts.
It's just like so dope. Like,
it
watching
is.
the call and response type of dancing, and like even the way that it's like, I don't know, it's like a roundabout, I don't know, I mean, if you know, you know what I'm saying. Like, that's really just it. Like, I don't even know how to describe it right now, but there's just something about that style of dance that's just so very like appealing to me, and so creative. And again, like, just it comes from a culture that's created from HBCUs, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, just the cultural wealth that you're able to get from an institution, whether it's the Black church or the Black institution of higher learning. It's just like, we just be coming up with some really great stuff, you know?
Absolutely. And I think, yeah.
So, like, and I will say that's also where I feel like she got like her rock star moment. So like when she the guitar, she does her, you know, like ad libs with the guitar and kind of has like the hair blowing in the face, kind of like I said, rock star moment. Was just amazing. But yeah.
But no, as you were saying that, I was just saying, I think that like that dance and just everything, you know, we're just such an expressive people.
Right.
And I think a part of it is, you know, our voice, we were made to be voices for so long.
Yeah.
So we found so many other ways to express ourselves and communicate with one another. And that's just like really what it reminded me of, like, just speaking.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
And I'm using my body, I'm using my whole black ass being to give this message. And that was just like such a beautiful thing. And speaking of dancing and moments, I want to say that Coachella is where she debuted the Get Into the Money.
Definitely.
And so, cause like that, and I'm like having a hard time right now remembering the first time I saw her do like that routine. Like, there was some changes to it definitely for the Coachella show, but that like dance, like, it might have been when she performed at Made in America in 2015.
Okay.
But I can't remember what song it was. I'm gonna think on it. It'll probably come to me. I wish I had asked Brandon, because I remember like hearing that couple doing that like dance, and so when she popped that out and had a whole nother little zhuzh to it, I said, well, B, let's get to this money then. Yeah. So, I don't know. I really just, that was like another just moment for me, because that is like an obvious, people are gonna like recreate this. People are gonna want to learn this, over and over, myself included. Yeah. You know? So it was just like sis is going in. Right. And I think too, to connect that to something that I just also want to give her some props on. Beyonce is probably a good 15 years older than most of them girls she's dancing beside. And Mama and them, gave us, 3 beautiful beings. Right. And been dancing and singing and touring for 22 plus years. So you think about all of the, like, your body is going through. Like, essentially she's an athlete still playing, like, her primetime self. Yeah. Like, at an age when
most people are retiring.
Boom. My God. Yeah. Loved it. And that was just one of the many moments that really kind of put the exclamation point on that.
That's a great way to put it. I think we're doing really well with this bounce off. Another exclamation point moment was, and it was kind of surprising to me. So there was, and those of us black folk that watched the show, there was a lot of discussion about the swag surf moment and how that was a disappointment to a lot of people.
Whole letdown.
Yeah. I was disappointed too. Like I remember like just looking around and just being like this, like
y'all never heard
again. I'm just going for what I know,
okay,
like because I will say I was in the back. Mm-hmm. Like when she was like all the way back there, I see you. She was talking to me. Like I was all the way in the back. But the reason why, that is the case is because I wanted space. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew I was gonna want to dance. I knew I was gonna, and like I knew it wasn't gonna be a thing where I was out there like so like I would have had to be there all day if I wanted to get so close that like I could actually touch her, which even most people, like the stage was pretty far away from the actual gate.
Saw that.
So it's just like there was no point in even trying, and missing a whole day's worth of shows. But that was kind of a letdown. That's where I surf moment. But surprisingly enough, a moment where like the entire venue just like went off was during Mi Gente. So like right after, Partition, she does Partition and then she does Beyonce, and then like she brings the band back out for Mi Gente, and like that before the like bass really hits. So when you hear that turn up Beyonce or whatever, like. And the band is like marching back onto the stage, like because everyone knows what song it is at that point. So like when the bass dropped, like this is dropping, boom, 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 and then the two was like, like it was the word that I kept thinking of was like it was like tribal. It was like a mosh pit. Like thousands and thousands of people just went, like that was the moment that just like everybody went up. And again, like surprising because it's not like one of Beyonce's most popular songs is like it's like a go up song or whatever, but maybe it's just like it's one of those songs that just crossed over really well so that like everybody knows it and everybody likes it.
I mean, well, we also I think sometimes forget how big musical artists are outside of like American born or like American artists, like because J Balvin is like a huge artist, like hundreds of millions of like views on YouTube, like super huge artist. So it's like it takes a moment like that to be like, oh wow, like okay. Like I get this collaboration because we also know Beyonce don't just hop on anybody record. Exactly. And so she's on this record that's like huge. I mean, it was also for a good cause. Yeah. But she really I think that
Yes.
that moment is indicative of the fact that
Right.
that song is probably known. And I don't really know what the Coachella demographic is, but I would imagine
White.
that's what I figured.
For the most part. I mean, like, it looks. It's just white. I mean, there are like, of course, like there's lots of color and interspersed, but that's just because there's so many people there, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then culturally, it's just like it has been until very recently, just like kind of a white thing to do, and then also financially, right? It's not like a lot of us even have the funds to do something like a Coachella.
Yeah. And I just was turned off when I heard it was in the desert. No tea, no shade. But
No.
I was like, oh, we gotta sleep in the desert.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And it's just a hike if you do get an Airbnb somewhere else. It's just, we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, so that in a way that, because there were other big moments where people were like yelling and screaming. But as far as like everybody dancing, everybody moving, everybody, like that was a huge moment.
So now, did it seem like that energy was sustained throughout the rest of the show?
Yeah, it definitely, like, that was a second wind moment, if you will. Like, not that like anybody was, like getting yeah, exactly. But it really did pick up after that, like, because that whole, like, it's kind of in the mid section where it's like, she's just going and going and going and going and going. Like, it goes from, maybe it starts with Partition and then ends, like, I would say Deja Vu maybe starts the next chapter.
Yeah.
So, but between that, it's just like you have that, and then you have Beyonce, and then you have Mi Gente, and like Hold Up, Countdown, the whole little Mind thing, or like that whole part right there. Just like,
that's
you're not stopping. Like, like if you were, you can't take a break. You know,
that shit don't never stop.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
I mean, so very similarly, and I thought about something else when you say Deja Vu, but I'll bring it up after we give our last moment. But I had to write about this on Facebook, like, cause I was like listening, and it was just like, wow, like this is hitting me in a way.
Yeah.
My last moment is Get Me Body. Because that was like, I mean, one, I've loved that song ever since B-Day. Yeah. I've been greeted with, Get Me Body. And that, I mean, to me, that was also the song that I always felt should have been track one on B-Day, but that's neither here nor there. But having seen her perform Get Me Body, because that has been a part of the set list typically ever since, B-Day. Like, I don't think that song has ever not been performed. But the way she sings it here is different.
Yeah.
And I know I saw some folk that was agreeing with me, riding with me. Thank you for the affirmation, because I was like, is it just me? Am I like really like being like am I being a stan right now? And I was like, no, like your ears work. Like she is just, if you listen to the way Beyonce delivers Get Me Body, there's just something so rich and so just like I'm feeling it. I'm in it. And I mean, and I think by contrast, when you go back and listen to even like the original recording of Get Me Body on the album, like you still hear like a very youthful Beyonce that's like, I'm not even 25 yet. Like, you know what I'm saying, giving you that song, but there's something that the version that's in the documentary that's on the live album for this project just feels like it's got some meat on this bone. It's like Get Me Body done grown up. I mean, and it's just, I don't know, like it's the way she ends her notes. It's just, I don't know. I just really, really, really like, to me, that moment or that particular vocal was just really like saying something.
Yeah. It's that song just generally, and it's when the I guess you would call it the bridge, the baby on it's too late. Like the music in that particular part, and part of it was the live music too, but just generally whenever I hear it performed, it feels, I'm trying to think of like how I can even describe it. It feels like a like rolling credits song. Like it feels like the end of a movie, or it feels like the I guess the climax or whatever. Or no, more than the climax, it feels like the resolution. Yeah. Like it feels, you know what I'm saying? Like it feels like the end. It feels like the end of a party. It feels like the end of a movie. It feels like, you know, like it just feels.
It does. Like, it's something very culminating about
it.
And I'm so glad you say that, because I feel like when I was talking to a friend yesterday, I was like, she honestly could have ended it right there.
Right.
Like, and the fact that she kept on giving us more, thankful. But it was like, that was like, that could have been, cause you going out on a, like a high note. Yeah. Give me body. Yeah. I stand.
But yeah, so I think, this is my last big moment, or I guess moment that stood out to me. So, of course, when, like, Destiny's Child actually ascends, you know, and they, like, perform or whatever, that was huge. You know, that was another huge, like, screaming moment just kind of amongst everybody, because everybody was kind of, like, hoping for it, calling. And I remember, like, Beyonce going on this little, like, IG press tour, like taking all the pictures. Like, I don't know if you remember that before Coachella, like he was going around taking pictures with like all of the members of Destiny's Child and posting them on her Instagram. And we were like, okay, like okay, what's going on? Next? Yeah. So just to have that suspicion like rewarded was like super great. But then more specifically, as they're coming out, the like overture that's playing, so it's just like, so they're playing Girl as it, so it starts, so like the song she does right before she like goes down on the stage is Run the World, right? And she does like the Chimamanda like snippets of the interview that she has used in Flawless before, but after that, like as Destiny's Child is like ascending onto the stage, the band is playing this like overture that comes from Girl, their song from Destiny Fulfilled. And I had this like, I remember maybe the weekend after, I had this like long tweet thread about that, because like I was just thinking about what that moment was, and then also just like the trajectory of Destiny's Child to like got them to that place.
For sure.
So I was thinking about how like just in the in between time, and we got the Super Bowl performance kind of like in between, but like if you think about from Destiny Fulfilled and then like Beyonce's entire solo career to like this performance, a lot of what we've seen is, you know, I think about moments like Dirty Laundry with Kelly, where she was talking about like the relationship that she was in that essentially almost cost her friendships, like her relationship with Beyonce, her relationship with Michelle, you know, and then also just like everyone kind of always kind of like shitting on Michelle, you know, like her always just kind of getting the short end of the stick, right? Exactly. But just thinking about all of that and what this song Girl represents, you know, just like Black woman solidarity and like friendship, and it just really, again, just intentional is the best word. It's just like, of course this is the song, like it's not an obvious choice, but when you realize the context, it's like extremely obvious, right? You know, right? And it's like a small thing. It's like most people probably didn't even catch it because they were just so excited to see that like silhouette, you know? But like listening to that and thinking about all that those women have gone through together and separately and together again was just like, it was,
No, I agree with you because the obvious go-to, especially given that silhouette, as you mentioned it, is going to be independent women, like, or something like that. And so, but I definitely agree with you in the fact that it had to be an intentional choice to go with Girl and to just really have that musical moment that is so telling of, you know, the backstories. Yeah. And if we know anything about Beyonce by now, is that she thinks about all of those things. Like she's not a happenstance artist. She's not a let me just see how this goes.
Yeah.
Like it's like no, like I have a very specific reason, and sometimes she'll tell us exactly why,
right.
and a lot of times she won't.
Right.
But I definitely think that you hit the nail right on the head with that moment. It was just that a moment, and I appreciate, and this is what I was gonna say earlier. I appreciate how she always finds a way to share her stage, and I'm always very interested in the ways in which she incorporates people in to the show. Like, at that specific moment, we got the Destiny's Child, mini reunion. Her and Jay-Z, she performed at least 3 songs that they had together, but he came out for Deja Vu. You know what I mean? Solange, she comes out during Get Me Body. Mm-hmm. It's just like you're finding, like, I wonder about that, like, why this song or why here. But I just love that. I love that I know that there probably is a very specific reason. Yeah. And that's how she operates. Yeah. So, I just, as people have stated, we are not worthy. But one of my final thoughts on the documentary, I mean, not to close out the conversation, but it felt like we had reached our resolution, right? One of my favorite things about what Beyonce did with this project, again, in centering HBCUs and really being very, very, very intentional about what she wanted to do. It's kind of a twofold thing. First is how she highlighted a variety of HBCUs in the film. Yeah. She made sure that in the ending credits, she listed every single last one of them. Mm-hmm. And that is important because, again, there's a tendency with the black community to separate and tier us and to make us value some aspects of black culture and black identity and not others. And the way that shows up a lot in terms of HBCUs is we're going to highlight our Howards, our Morehouses, our Spelmans, our Hamptons, you know what I mean? But there's like literally 100 other schools out there that are doing the same work to improve the lives of black people and black communities, and we should be honoring and revering them much in the same ways. And so I appreciated that she made sure that there was, even in her montages, even in the quotes she put up, that there were different voices and different lights being shown on institutions. And then I also appreciated the fact that even after the documentary came out, or as a part of the narrative that she created and that she's continuing to espouse, that she's not just saying, hey, here's HBCU culture for anybody that would like to, have a peek. She's also being intentional about saying, I would have gone to an HBCU. I saw Kelly post about, I would have gone to an HBCU, and them also encouraging young people to look at HBCUs and to consider them as educational options, and really promoting it in that way, because I think that that's something that needs to happen. Right. We the locus of influence, or like that has shifted a lot in society and definitely within like the black community in many ways, and we look a lot to our celebrities and our entertainers for some of those kind of guiding posts sort of things. And so I think that them choosing to say not just go to college, but go to an HBCU or look at HBCUs, I think that was that's something that I'm really hoping that our institutions really latch onto and continue to build around that moment, because that's not something we're guaranteed to get again. You know what I mean? And I just think that really gives us a nice little springboard to go off of.
So, I think about this performance, I think about kind of all of the things that we've said. And I mean, we could go on literally for hours talking about this performance, talking about this documentary, talking about even the album. I just, it's so interesting to me that there are people who still find like negative things to say about Beyonce. And I mean, not to say, I mean, like, people are people. Like, not to say, like, you should never say anything bad about her, but, like, I think more often, like, people choosing more often than not to shit on her, essentially, or just be passive about the impact that she has.
Right.
You know, like, just kind of be flippant about, like...
That's high.
Right, yeah. And... it's just, I don't know where that comes from. I was thinking and kind of racking my brain about, like, what makes a person feel that way about someone like a Beyonce. And I mean, I think part of it is just, like, being anti or just, like, not liking popular things because they're popular.
Which is so annoying to me. It's so annoying that people are like that.
But it's and then I think there are also, so I wrote this down while I was thinking about it one day this week. I said, you know, there probably more, but there are two types of people that don't like Beyonce.
Okay. That
I think I see. And they're people that either don't see someone like her in themselves or they don't want to. So it's like I can be someone who is not an entertainer, who is a man, you know, who... for a lot of, like, for lack of better words, like, is not in Beyonce's, like, we don't do the same thing.
Yeah.
But I look up to her in so many ways and admire her for so many things that she does.
Yes.
And the person that she is and the work ethic that she has and the drive that she has and the passion that she has for what she does is rare. And it's unique, and it's something that really shows in everything that she does. But I think there are people who aren't able to find, like, the Beyonce within themselves, and I think that frustrates them.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I think that
for sure.
It frustrates, like, there are people who don't like Beyonce because they don't feel great. You know, they don't feel flawless. Like, they don't feel... all of those things that she espouses, and they kind of resent her for it, I think.
I mean, for sure.
I think that there are definitely people like that, and then I think, so to my second point of, like, people who don't want to see someone like Beyonce in them is, like, and we were talking about this in our conversation we had before about, like, relationship deal breakers. It's just, like, what I said was I don't trust a black gay man that doesn't like Beyonce. I think I said that.
Yeah, you did.
But it's just what we were talking about, and what you said was this whole thing in a certain demographic, in a certain culture of just like, oh, you like Beyonce? Okay. Like, essentially, like, I know what type of person you are. I know what type of man you are, if you will. And there are people that don't want to be attached to that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so for fear of being attached to that, it's just like, I guess I can't like her, you know? Or I guess I can't like her too much, or I guess I have to put this caveat of like, you know, I don't really like Beyonce, but I guess she did her thing on Homecoming. Okay. Like,
you really, you like, know that statement would have been
just fine if you, good job was all you needed to say.
That's
you know?
It,
like,
that's all.
I just really, it just really, because, like, what do you gain from throwing in that caveat? You know, like, why is that necessary? Why does it need to be known that, like, typically you don't go up for this person, but, like, in this specific moment at this specific time, like, sure, I guess. You know? I just, it's just, and I know that I'm biased in this situation. I try to be as objective as possible. I think objectively Beyonce is an icon and a treasure. Right. I think that is not I think objectively. I think if you look at the type of person that you would like to be, or the type of superstar that you would like to have, the type of platform that you would want for them to have, the type of music that you would want for them to create, the type of visuals and creativity that you would want them to bring. But what? I just don't understand how. I just don't get it.
Well, I mean, so there's two things that immediately came to my mind. I'm gonna start with the second thing that came to me first.
Yeah.
I have increasingly learned that objectivity is a myth of sorts.
Sure.
You know what I mean? As human beings, we have natural propensities towards certain things, natural affinities for certain things, and our lived experience typically informs how we feel about certain people, things like that. And so, in that regard, I think that we shouldn't have to say, objectively speaking, Beyonce is great. No, Beyonce is great because I think Beyonce is great. And that is my experience. That is my experience with Beyonce as a fan, as someone that has seen her grow. Now, you, in your subjectivity, may not feel the same way.
Right.
I personally don't see it, but But what we also know, and this brings me to my other point, is that societally, we have enabled and promoted and allowed for a culture of, misogynoir, just blatant disrespect against Black women.
Yeah.
And what we see, and that's why I love that she incorporated that Malcolm X excerpt into Lemonade the film and into subsequent performances, because it really, this is her way of saying, I know that motherfuckers don't like me simply for the fact that I get up here in this Black female frame.
Yeah.
And it's already some of y'all that's gonna tune out there. But guess what? That's not gonna stop me from going hard. That's not gonna stop me from getting mine. That's not gonna stop me from inspiring someone else to get theirs.
Yeah.
And as you see, even with knowing all that she knows about how people view Blackness and Black women particularly, she continues to highlight and center Black womanhood and Black women in her performances, in her visuals. And I think to that end, some people are just never going to get it. And that's going to be their cross to bear in life. But ultimately, I think that Beyonce is being who Beyonce is, and is by virtue of being herself and, operating in her truth and putting that into her art. She's inspiring a lot of other people to live that life and walk that path of being their best self, of being there, and pushing for greatness. I always tell people, while I love the music and I love just the essence of Beyonce, it's definitely the work ethic that I see that makes me damn, I love how hard in the paint she goes. That's the way that I want to operate. But like you said, some people don't want that for themselves, or they don't feel like they have the ability, but that's probably because they're too busy being resistant to it. So
it's just, maybe on the flip side, I'll just state my own thankfulness, you know what I'm saying, for something like this. It's just, I think that it's really great that we have someone like this right now.
For sure.
Because a lot of the greats, unfortunately, are no longer with us, and so I don't know, it just makes me feel really good to be experiencing Beyonce, and someone like Beyonce doing what it is that she's doing, because it's just very encouraging and makes, and what otherwise, shit with America is crazy right now and has been for a very long time.
Okay.
And, you know, like with the hustle and bustle of like work and life and school and all that stuff, it's just like, it just feels, it's like a refresher, you know, and just like a breath of fresh air to just kind of be reminded of greatness. One, just like the idea of greatness, you know, because you don't see that in a lot of people these days.
No, hell no.
And then just it coming in the way that it came with this. So yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, love her. Thank you, Queen.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you want to do now?
Because I'm glad that you were here. I was gonna say we could start off
next time
with those.
Okay, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I guess that means we're done.
Right.
With this part of the episode, we've got some good stuff coming for you next time.
Oh yes.
Do you have a clue for our noteworthy artist?
I do.
Okay.
So the next noteworthy artist and project is a debut album again. Continuing that trend a little bit. But it's another debut album. It's from an R&B singer.
Yeah.
And this person, although known and revered for their vocal talents, really kind of got introduced to us in the public eye via their acting chops.
Okay. That sounds like a great clue.
Thank you. I do what I can.
So yeah, if you all have any thoughts about Beachella, if you have any questions for us, anything like that, feel free to hit us up at writeusanote@gmail.com.
Yes.
Check out our social media, on Instagram, on Facebook.
Yeah, this is a great episode.
It was.
I had a great time.
I did too.
I'm saying it's a great episode for this. I think we both had fun.
Yeah.
And so y'all we look forward to part 2.
Absolutely.
Of episode 6.
Absolutely. All right, we will see you all next time.
Peace.
Take care.